There we go. All right. Very good. Okay. Wait a couple of minutes. See if anyone's gonna meet me online. Maybe. Who knows? All right. All right, one person, sweet. Hey, Arthur. All right, so I guess I'll just go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Kevin, Freelance Computing here once again. And as the title states, I am going to be working on my client's MacBook Air. So a couple videos before, I did do a video showing that she needed a logic board replacement and all that kind of fun stuff. So finally, after all the BS that I had to go through, I finally got the replacement logic board. Isn't that pretty? Sweet, right? Okay. So basically what ended up happening, I ended up finding a logic board. It was used on eBay, but the guy said it worked and whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. So I ended up buying it from him. And then I think 4 or 5 days later, he ends up sending me an email saying, oh, by the way, okay, so let me start this again. He sends me an email and it basically said like, hey, really sorry for the delay. The reason why I had a delay before shipping out is because I test my boards before I send them out. So I'm like, okay, well, that's your first problem. Why are you testing it after, not before it sells? But anyways, so then he's like, oh, so I found out that the board had a firmware password on it. Now, firmware passwords are a lot different than your hard drive password or BIOS password and it kind of fun stuff. So firmware password for MacBooks literally locks out the entire machine. So if I were to do any type of software updates or anything like that, I would require that password. And also, even worse, if I turn it on, it usually prompts you immediately for the BIOS password. Now, the reason why people put, firmware password. Reason why people put firmware passwords is in case their laptops get lost or stolen, they won't be able to access the laptop at all. So it makes sense. So he probably ended up getting the board. I mean, granted, it probably wasn't stolen. It was probably just he probably just got like a bulk of logic boards or broken MacBooks or whatever. So generally what they do is they would try to scrap the parts and resell them, which is perfectly fine. I mean, I do the same thing too. If I have extra hardware, I sell it as used just to get some of my money back. Not a big deal. But the problem I had with this guy is that he waited 4 days to tell me, and then 2 days later, he ends up refunding me. I was like, oh, Jesus, like, you've got to be kidding me. So I had to tell my client, I'm sorry, but this is what's going on. She's like, okay, no, that's fine. I'm still using the loaner, so I'm still okay. I'm like, okay, awesome. So I ended up finding this logic board, and he said he tested it before, and I guess got it in today. And here we are. So, and I did promise you guys that I would do this live. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous because I usually have no issues doing board repairs, but I'm usually by myself with no cameras and whatnot. So this is kind of like my first like real live repair. So you guys don't have to stay for the whole thing. If you do and you want to see something entertaining, but yeah, sure, whatever. But yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to move the cameras down so you guys could see what I'm actually working on. So just give me a minute here just to try to figure this out. All right, so there's that one. So I'll kind of angle this. And my Logitech one. Okay, so I think we're good. The Facebook one, it's a kind of a funky angle because it's off to the side, so I'll try to compensate. All right, so, and I'll try to go over everything that I'm doing while I'm doing this repair. So if you guys have any questions or comments, both YouTube and Facebook are up and running for their chats. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I did already was I removed the back panel here. So the last video that I spoke of was how Apple likes to change things up, and I had to use a different set of screws. So before I was able to use a Torx screw bit to take it off, but now you have to use something called a P something. So it looks kind of like a Torque, but it's not. It's a different type of shape. So thankfully for the iFixit kit that I have here, it actually had the bit that I needed. So that worked out well. And yes, it's the same one I use to repair iPhone screens. So after removing the screws, these are the parts that you have to disconnect. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see very well. I can't really zoom in with the cameras because they're kind of cheap webcams, but you get a general idea. So there are a set of screws that you have to remove on top of the screws I already did for the casing. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, possibly 8 screws there. And then from the screws from there, you have your ribbon cables and everything. So I already disconnected the power. Please make sure you remove the power first. Don't wait till the end, just in case you shock something, it'll fry the whole. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter because this board is fried anyways, but just standard practice moving forward. Just always remove the power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably remove the screws first. Actually, no, I'll disconnect the ribbon cables first. That'll probably be the first thing to do. So I already removed it. This is the display cable. I already removed that. The next one over here, this is the excuse me, the Wi-Fi Bluetooth, and you have your connections here. So I'm going to disconnect those because they're attached to this board. I mean, to this one specifically, and it's kind of being held. So I'm going to disconnect those two, and pretty much the other one. So I think this one's for speaker. This one is keyboard. This one is the illumination for the keyboard. And then this one here is for the USB ports here and the charger. And then there's underneath it. So there's another one for the right speaker. And I think this one is for the fan. And I think those are the ones underneath it. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to just grab a pair of needle nose pliers. Now, of course, removing anything from the logic board, especially these ribbon cables, you need to be very, very careful with it. Now, the tools that I have along with the bits are needle nose pliers and also a plastic pry tool. You don't have to use these if you have like fingernails. These are basically held by little clips that you pop up and then you slide the cable back and out. But if you don't have nails long enough to reach and unhook them, the plastic pry tool actually works really well too. And the reason why I usually go with the plastic ones is just because it's a little bit softer. I do have metal pry tools too, but those usually, if you go into a little bit too hard, it could rip the entire thing out, and then you won't have anything to clip the cable back on. Once you snap that plastic, it's really difficult to try to figure out how to get the cable to stay back on. There are ways to do it, but I tend not to, so that's why I use the plastic pry tools. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So with the wireless connections, I usually try to get it to the base, and you just wiggle it a little bit while you're pulling up, and it usually just pops right out. Excuse me. Sorry, it's been a really dry day today. It's been snowing pretty much all day. So, also what you need to pay attention to is which wire goes to what. So this one is longer, one is shorter. Other times one is marked, one is white, one is black, and they usually mark it on the board itself. Yes, it does matter which connection goes to what. So just make sure you keep that in mind. And then also when you're putting it back in, be very careful because the metal rings over here are very, very thin. So if you don't line it up correctly and you press and you force it in, you're going to end up bending that metal ring and you won't be able to click this back in correctly and it'll just pop right out. You can fix it enough that it'll hold and clip like kind of like a retention, but just try your best not to damage the rings, the metal ring over here while you're putting it or while you're pulling it out. All right, so let's go with this one. This one, I think you just lift up. You should pop out. There we go. Now, of course, when you're doing anything that you're applying force to, just bear in mind the very thin wires that you are working with. If you're not comfortable with it, what you could generally do is just try to give a little bit, and while you're moving, just wiggle it, and it usually will free itself. Don't just go gung-ho and just rip the whole thing out, because most likely you'll either rip the actual housing for the pins or the actual cable itself. All right, so I'm going to use a plastic pry tool here. So there's clips that you just lift up very lightly. There we go. And then I'll take these and just slide it out just enough. There we go. Oh, come on. Now, usually if you can't get it out, what you could do also is when you take the board out, you'll have a little bit more give. So while you slide the board out that way, you should be able, you could pull the cables out. I still try to take them out prior to that. But this one, since this one's right up against the battery, I'm probably not going to be able to wedge that thing out. So, yeah. Now, sometimes they come with like little plastic tabs you can lift up and pull out, but I don't think this one has it. So I'm just going to leave that one alone. I'm going to work on it later. Now, these are a little bit easier. I mean, I'll still use the plastic pry tool just for better standard practice, but these aren't really too hard to lift off. So. And you will run into issues where, well, not really issues, but they do use adhesive, like this one right here, just to keep it on. So just kind of pull it slowly. Just disconnect the adhesive. You don't have to worry about that. Let's see. All right, so we got this one here. There you go. And with the plastic pry tool, if it's like little connectors like this, I try to grab like the little corner of it and just wedge it underneath just enough and just apply a little bit of pressure. And usually that just kind of pops it right up. Now this one I don't really have to do because this is a whole different section, but it might still be connected at one point in time. So I'm just going to disconnect it just in case. Now, because these two are separate and this one is the power lead here for the charger, I'm going to leave this connected for now until I remove the board, then I can just pull it out afterwards. So this one has a little ribbon that I could, that I should be able to pull and remove. Now, I'm just going to give you fair warning. This is probably not going to be the most entertaining video. So, but I do appreciate those who are watching right now, and maybe you'll learn something. Who knows? If you don't, well, that's not my fault. So, taking a stride. All right, so, okay, so that's all set. All right, so now let's work on the screws to remove. All right, so let's start here. Oh, also, if there's moments of silence, that's probably because I'm trying to figure something out. So it's not because your sound isn't working on your computer or something. It's just me trying to figure out where everything goes. So, and like I said before, I have worked on many of MacBook Pros and MacBook Airs, but every one is usually different in some sort of way. The basis of it is the same. You have your cables and everything that you need to pull out and yada, yada, yada. But there are other times where the whole schematic is just completely like different and you're like, what the heck just happened? So there's points in time where I'm trying to figure something out. Please don't judge me. It's usually how I do things. If I don't know how to do it exactly, I usually just try to figure it out. I mean, I usually pull up iFixit, which is that website I talked about, and they usually have really good guides of how to replace things. But Sometimes it's just like, I don't have to really do iFixit. I could figure it out for myself. It's usually the same for the most part. So, and what I'm doing here, I'm just lining up the. Oh, geez, that was stupid. Anyways, what I was saying is I usually line up the screws so I remember where they go because they are different sizes. So obviously these two are for the fan. This is for the logic board. And I just try to keep everything aligned so I know how to put everything back together. Actually, I think I might have to pull this cable. Might be able to. Yep, there we go. Nice. All right, so this guy. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the fan. Should technically be able to lift this right off. So this is the part where I'm trying to figure it out because I should be able just to lift it. The board is moving, but it's still being held by something, and I don't want to pull too hard and end up messing the board. So, oh no, I took that one out too. I mean, technically, I don't have to be that gentle with it because this board's already done, but oh, I know what you want me to do. You son of a... Ugh. So this board that's completely detached is on top of this corner, and I can't pull it out because I don't have enough room to slide it and remove this end first, I don't think. And plus, I have that ribbon cable here. So, all right, so we'll just take this out, I guess. All right, so it looks like, yeah, there's a thing here. All right. The hell by adhesive? I know, I could tell by the excitement with you guys right now. It's overwhelming. Okay. So I'm just going to move that off to the side. I don't have to take the whole thing out completely. All right, so now, oh no, what are you stuck on? Oh, there's a screw. Oh, you serious? Oh, that is dirty. Okay, so there is a tiny little screw. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. All right, you Apple engineers drive me freaking batty. All right, so there's apparently a screw right underneath these two wires here that was holding the damn thing in, which is fine. Whatever. I'll deal with it. Now, generally, you could just leave the screw in there and just pull the board out, but me, with my luck, I'll end up just losing it, like flicking it off somewhere. Okay, now what's holding you in? Are you kidding? What the heck? Oh, God, I don't need this right now. Come on. I know it's not this, is it? All right, so when in doubt, use a really tiny flathead and try to get that cable underneath and then just to pry it out. There we go. So that's loose. What the heck is holding you in? Is it adhesive or what? All right, so the nice thing about having this other board, I could reference to see what I'm actually missing. So I got that screw. Oh, I'm an idiot. This is so dumb. Forgot about this cable. Duh. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, that's good. Now, okay. Look at that. Clean removal of the board. All right, so that's the bad one. Well, so we'll put that aside. All right, so now if you probably you can't really see this, but I'm gonna try to show the camera a little bit. So right here, this corner. So instead of them removing this part of the board and taking that screw out like I did properly, it looks like they just took the board, they took the screw out and then just ripped the board out. So it's a little bit bent. So all you do is really just take your pair of pliers, and it's really thin metal, so you just kind of just bend it back and it should be fine. Oh, okay. All right, hold on, guys.
It's gonna be really loud.
Yeah, thanks. So Eva is making a smoothie or some type of protein drink, and she's like, I'm gonna use the blender. It's gonna get loud. I'm like, okay. So she was nice enough to close the door for me. I was like, okay. Anyways, all right. So now this is the other replacement board. Now I did take the NVMe drive and already put it in right here. So that's already installed. So hopefully I'll put the board back in, plug in everything, put like a couple of screws, flip it over, turn it on, and if it boots into macOS, we should be good. Now, my hand here, I'm holding all the ribbon cables back because as I'm putting the board in, the cables get caught underneath the board and it's harder to pull the cables out. So I'm going to try my best to keep all the cables out of the way while I install the replacement logic board. And just make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. These stupid lines. Okay, come on. Get in there. All right. Okay. All right, so this one isn't aligning correctly because the heat pipe got bent. So I'm just going to just try to shift it back down so the holes line up. I mean, granted, I don't really have to do that, but it just makes things a lot easier. All right, so this thing goes into this hole. Okay. All right, so okay, I think I got that one well in there. So let's put this one back in because that's the one that's a pain in the butt. I'm gonna feed the cable back in here. Okay, and this is supposed to go in there. Okay. Let's see. All right, here comes the even more fun part. So I need to try to get these ribbon cables in. Now, usually the ones on the top, these aren't really an issue. I could just kind of finagle it and get it in. The problem is these ones on the bottom because I have barely any headroom to kind of get under and connect it in there. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Well, let me put the fan back in. Do that first. Come on. Oh, Jesus. Come on. Get out of there. There we go. Yes. That's snapped in quickly. All right. That goes in. That goes in. Up there. Shoot. I don't remember if the fan went above or under this board. So let's see which way it fits. No, I think it went under it. Oh, now I have to deal with this thing. Are you kidding me? Jesus. All right, come on. Oh, that's such a pain in my butt. All right. Oh, this is great. I love it. I love it when things work out perfectly as they should. All right, so you need to go in there. I think. Nope. Gosh. All right. Let's try this again. That's supposed to feed through. I don't know what this rubber thing is supposed to be for. Like, what the hell? Just in my way. Like, what? What is the point of you? Like, why are you here? Oh, this is so stupid. All right, so it went like what? It went up and over? Nope. It went. Oh. Shit, really? All right. So you're supposed to go in here like this. Oh God, this thing is so stupid. I feel like when he pulled, so this rubber is supposed to go into this little notch, but when I do that, it like bunches up in the center and it just doesn't want to stay. So I feel like this guy overstretched the rubber because it is not doing jack right now. I can't even get it to get in there. Come on. And let alone make it stay in there when I get it. Get in. No, you're not gonna. No, you don't want to play nice. Okay, there we go. Just stay right there. Oh, but now the wire. Oh, come on. All right. Okay, stay right there. Stay right there. You are good. Be good. Good boy. Yes. All right, there we go. Wow, a lot of people are on. Okay, so I'm gonna say hi to some people. Arthur, Michelle, Simon, Randy, Nano, Chad, Dan, Maureen. I just saw you. Hi. Mike, Steph, Chris, and Christian. Hi, everybody. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's continue. Yeah. Okay. So I got to shove this thing back in here without breaking these ribbon cables. But that's gonna be fun. Oh, and another main reason why I'm showing you guys this is because, unfortunately, there are those people out there that are like, oh, why are you charging so much? And I'm like, are you serious? Like, do you not know what I'm doing for you right now? Like, you got to be kidding me, right? So, yeah, unfortunately, there are those people who don't understand when it comes to a cost of repairing things that, oh, it's not just that, I get it and then I do some voodoo magic and then poof, magically it's all fixed. Like I actually have to, like what you're seeing now, it's one of those things that because they don't see what I'm doing, they don't know, and that's fine. I don't blame them for them. And usually when I tell people that I'm doing a repair, I'll look up a guide of how to do it because I am not afraid of showing people how to fix things. Because 9 times out of 10, they'll look at it and they're like, I am not even going to touch what you are doing right now. Like that's just ridiculous. But it's to also show them that this is why I charge what I charge, because of the time it takes me to do it. Now, mind you, it's still another thing looking at pictures and guides online. Oh yeah, I could do that. That's child's play. That's nothing. I could follow pictures. I could follow a guide. That's nothing. Until they actually do it. And next thing you know, they just ripped out a ribbon cable and they're like, oh crap, now what do I do? And then they have me try to fix it. And I look at them like, you're kidding me, right? Because you just tore this whole thing up. How do you it's okay, yeah, sure. All right, fine. Yeah, I could fix it. Because I could fix anything, right? Anyways, I digress. All right, so right now I just plugged back in the power cable, so on this side. So what I'm doing now, I wasn't supposed to. Come on. Because the fan goes underneath it. That's what I was trying to do. Come on. Get in there. You know you want to. All right. Or maybe I was wrong and it doesn't go underneath. Maybe it does go underneath. Well, why is this cable not saying? You know what? Yeah, I'm going to have it go over because it settles well. It settles better that way. Yes, okay. So you'll notice too, as I'm moving down the board, I'm putting the screws in. Mainly because as I'm moving down this way, I'm putting everything back together so it doesn't like move and shift around and get all like mangled and I can't get it back in. And I try to do the harder cables first to put back in. Yeah, and these cables are so small and thin, like it's almost impossible for you to do it with just your fingers. Like this one is going to be a pain in my butt because I have to go against the fan and then I have to get it with my fingers and these pliers, but I can't crush it. So if you actually, when you guys can't really see this, but on the top of the cable itself, they put like a piece of plastic. So the whole point of that is when you're trying to move it in, like I'm grabbing it with the needle nose pliers and I'm moving it like this way, like toward that way to get it into the connector. The reason why they put a piece of plastic there is when you grab the cable, you're not smushing it. Because I'm pretty sure engineering probably like, yeah, a lot of people probably crush these cables here. So they put that piece of plastic. So it gives me a place to grab it, to push it in, or to pull it in that way. So anyways. Okay, so we got that side of the board. We got the fans going, and I know I said that I wasn't going to do all the screws, but I'm just doing the ones that I need to do. Like the fan is pretty important. Like, and plus, the cables will hide the screw holes. So that's why I'm doing these over here. So see, like this one was blocking that screw hole, so I just put that one in so I could plug this in, and I could let it hide the port, and I wouldn't really care too much. So, and then this one's going to be hidden with this ribbon cable that I took off. So that's why I'm doing that one. And then, well, this one's not really hidden, but you know, since I'm already working on that side anyways, might as well just do all of them. Keep it simple. Okay. Oh, talking about plug-in. So if you notice, like these here, the tiny little teeth that they have on them, same thing. When you insert it, make sure you line it up and then you press down. You should feel kind of like a snap-ish that you know it's in there. If you don't feel that, don't like move it around to try to get it to fit, because you'll destroy all these little teeth. And at that point, you have to get a new cable because you can't really rescue that. But generally, once you get one, just kind of float it over, and then you can kind of feel it, and then just gently push down, and then you should be good. Okay. Oh, no. I should have checked this first. So see, this is the one I was talking about before. There is a ribbon cable that is stuck under here, so now I kind of have to finagle and get it back up here without breaking it, which is going to be fairly difficult. No, Okay. Oh, God. All right. I think she's done. And I have this freaking heater. Hopefully she's done with the blender. Yeah. So I'm the type of person that thinks like worst case scenario. And all that's going through my mind now is that I put this whole thing together, I'm live, and I turn it on. Like that'll be my luck. So I'm putting back all these little wires for the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Generally, you want to just line up the two circles, and all you have to do is just gingerly press down. Sometimes if the angle isn't right, for this one, you just take a bit of pliers, kind of help with the angle. Tag my client. I don't know if she's watching or not. That's okay. She's watching. Yeah, there you go. See, was it that difficult? And yes, I talk to what I'm fixing. It makes me feel better. And then I believe that it's actually. Don't joke it. The struggles of thin ribbon cables. Oh my god. Really gonna do this to me right now? Ah, nice. Just gonna be it. Now my hair's getting in my way. God. All right, that should be it. We're calling that in. All right. All right, I think I got everything connected. I have a couple of screws left over, but that's all right. I'm not going to worry about that. So technically, I should be able to connect the power, the battery. Turn this on, and hopefully I get a fan spin, or at least a green light. Green light. Let's charge it. Now, just to be on the safe side, I am going to put. Oh, see that? You guys see the fan spinning? That's usually a good sign. But I'm going to flip this thing. Oh, please tell me you guys heard that. That's the chime. When that chime happens, that usually means like, yeah, you should be good for the most part. But now I just have to flip this thing back over to make sure that it actually boots into macOS. Which I don't know why this thing. Okay, here we go. Actually, I'm gonna do it this way. Ready? 3, 2, 1, surprise. Okay, so good news is that the MacBook is working. Oh wait, you guys can't really see this, can you, on Facebook? Okay. So good news is that MacBook's working. Bad news is that usually means that the drive data is corrupted, which is not a good sign. So that tells me one of two things. Either the board can't read it, or when it was caught on fire, it basically burnt out the logic board, which would really suck because all her data is on it. So yeah, that is, oh Jesus, that's not going to be entertaining. Oh God. I mean, I'm gonna still ask her if she happened to back up her stuff on iCloud, which I pray to God that she did, because just because that is happening, I should still be able to wipe the drive and reinstall macOS. That's not going to be the problem. The biggest problem is basically her data is going to be gone, which is not going to be good news. So she's going to have some good news, some bad news. I'm not looking forward to that conversation. Okay. All right. So, you know what? Let me try one last thing. I'm going to try to pull it out. And maybe clean out the ports and see if it'll read it. Maybe, I don't know. And I did have a feeling this was going to happen because when I put it in that enclosure, usually you should be able to plug in the enclosure, plug it into a MacBook, and it'll still detect it, like the data and everything. But the moment I plugged it in, it detected the drive, but it said there was no data on it. So, which I fear is the problem, that it's completely corrupted, which is not going to fancy my cup of tea. I mean, is this still a win? Did I still fix it? Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely fixed. But what sucks is that the data on it, I can't get back. And that's the part that's going to suck the most. Oh, wait. Sorry. Over here. Oop. So I don't need to have this down there. So just bring this back. Yeah, it's not damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Yeah, so there is that stupid freaking blinking. Crap. All right, let me try one more thing. Maybe if I hold the Alt, I could force it to boot. See if it even gives me the option. Okay, so this one down here is that I could at least connect to my Wi-Fi. So maybe I'll find a recovery. Internet recovery. Okay. All right, you know what? I'm not gonna bore you guys with this. Okay, so good news is that the board is now replaced and it is working, which I am. That's a win for me. That's a plus. The part that's going to suck now is that I need to tell my client, hey, by the way, your board got replaced, but having the board get shocked and fried, it pretty much fried your data. Yeah, I am not looking forward to that conversation. So probably a lot of tears are gonna happen. Moving on, this will segue into something that's very important that I tell all my clients. Back up your data. I don't care if you don't think it's important. I don't care if you're making up all these excuses. Yeah, I'll do it. No, like back up your data, because when this situation happens, you're pretty much screwed. I mean, you can bring it to Apple or a data recovery center, but because it's flash memory, it's going to be ridiculously expensive. And I'm talking about minimum $600, probably up to $2,000 to $3,000, depending on how bad the flash drive is corrupted. And if it was because the thing got fried, yeah, that's going to be a little bit pricey. So please back up your data. There's plenty of tools out there that you can download. There is one, I'll post a couple of links. There is one that I use called Veeam, Veeam. It's free. It works great, and you could actually set automated scheduled backups. You could do full backups. You can do snapshot backups, which pretty much just, just updates, any of your new files. And you could even do something called like bare metal, which means if you even replace your drive, it does a clone image of your drive. So when you put in a new hard drive, or if your old one breaks and you get it replaced, you could recover that whole image and smack it right on there verbatim. So Veeam is actually really good. There's another one called AOEMI Backupper. That one also does automated scheduled backups. Same thing. And then also clone images and everything. That's actually another free program, and I use it when I do hard drive upgrades and people don't want a fresh install. They could pretty much, I ask them, do you want me to image the whole thing so you don't have to reinstall everything? And you're like, that's fine. That's usually for people who keep their machine quite clean. If you have a whole bunch of crap installed and you go to websites you're not supposed to, I'll ask them, are you sure you want me to image this? Because it'll copy everything. And they're like, yeah, maybe you should just do a clean one. So different options. But anyways, all right. So I am going to try to see if I could get macOS back on this thing. And she's not going to be happy because I'm not going to be able to get the data back on this drive or from this drive. So, but at least good news is the laptop's back up and running. I mean, you could kind of see bring the cameras down a little bit too, so you could see the scrolling screen and whatnot. So that's not all bad. I mean, the most important part was getting the laptop repaired. The data was kind of like a secondary, but what could you do? Anyways, all right. If you guys like my video, please like and subscribe. Facebook, Freelance Computing Incorporated. On YouTube, it's Freelance Computing. Like, subscribe, share. Click the notification button for when I go live again or when I do new videos. I will post links to the things I went over in the video description below on the YouTube page. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to shoot me a message or write some comments down on the Facebook video or the YouTube video. All right, so that pretty much concludes my time. Thank you again for all who stayed and watched this invigorating video of replacing a logic board. My next project will probably be, I think I'm going to be replacing a couple of iPhone batteries, and then I have a couple of systems that I still need to build. So I'll probably end up doing that. So I did get a couple of parts in, so I'll probably do a live stream of me building the machine. We'll see how that goes. I feel kind of bad because this is pretty much my only workspace, and the cameras are right here, so it'll be kind of hard to angle everything. But I'll try to do it so at least you can see what's going on, and for things that I'm blocking the camera with, I'll just describe to you guys. But anyways, so once again, thank you very much, Freelance Computing. Like, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one.